Hello, this is Sterling here, bringing you another Halo breakdown. We're going to be going over some OpTiC versus Avengers gameplay on SLAYER. We're going to be covering three topics today. The first one is going to be about securing sectors. Second topic will be about the micro tool of utilizing no presence. And the third topic is going to be briefly touching upon OpTiC forming a T setup and also forming a bubble spawn trap setup. So, starting off here with Snakebite and OpTiC, we see they have camo right now. They have two players of Avengers trapped in the red basement. They have World 2 over here in the car vicinity. So we're going to clear out these two players right here in the basement. And from there, OpTiC is going to initiate a 1-3, meaning they're going to have one player isolated pushing on the P side, which will be Snakebite, and they're going to have three players pushing strong on car side. But to go on the first topic here about securing sectors, so to secure a sector means to have that area controlled and have no enemy presence within that area. So you know you have it in control. So for example, OpTiC right now, they have red base secured and they have the car area secured. You know enemies are not going to be there. And from this information, OpTiC should know after taking those two players out in the red basement that the last two players of Avengers should either be in P or in blue base. So the first misplay that's going to happen here on OpTic's end is that Snakebite here doesn't secure and look inside a P to make sure no one is there from the Avengers team. Before we go over what Snakebite does, Frosty here could have mitigated and made up for Snakebite not checking in P if he'd thrown two nades. I like this first one that he throws to check, if anyone's in this meta spot right here, hiding right here. But he could have thrown another bounce nade right here to check the back wall, because this back area where you see Sane hiding right here is another meta spot that's used a lot by high-level players. And to go into the second topic real quick, Sane here is utilizing the micro tool called no presence, which is when a player hides and doesn't try to show up on the radar or try to be seen visually and doesn't make any sounds, so he doesn't bring up any auditory cues for the opposing team to pick up on his location. And what he wants to do is just patiently wait for more information to come before making a play. So this is really good on Sane's end because they're down numbers, and now he just wants to play patient and wait and see if he can take out a player or two and make a big play. Right here, Frosty goes back to the window, and you can see him stand still here. And why he's doing this is that he's holding back button and he's making sure everybody on the Avengers team is up before he decides to push out to the car side. But we're probably wondering, why did this guy spawn P1 here even though Snakebite's here on the P3? I briefly touch up on this on my other video, but what Snakebite is, what we call this area that he's in is called an inactive area. So to touch upon that again, an inactive area is a region within an active sector that doesn't influence spawns. So being here allows an opening for this guy to spawn here. So to decrease the chances of something like this from happening, Snakebite, if he was in like another position like here P2 or on this P3 ledge, or even right here, or on this area right here, this would have probably not happened, and this guy would probably spawn blue basement with the rest of his team. So we see Snakebite, he could have maybe dropped down at this point and look and just take a peek in P2 and see if everything is clear, but he doesn't do that, and he decides to push up. And at this point, OpTic's intention is to leave red base, clear all these guys out in blue base, and invert the spawn trap into spawning them into the red base. Then anyways, moving on with the play that happened, Snakebite moves over here to the P, and his teammates are creating heavy aggro or heavy attention on that car side. He sees Boo Boo Doo Boo walk out of P1, and maybe in his mind he's thinking, oh, maybe this was that player on the P side all along. But again, we never checked P2, so now Tommy is getting that information from his teammate, from Boo Boo Doo Boo, that there is the camo player on the street. They're able to take him out, and now instead of OpTiC having more control on the map, they're going to be spawning on the car side, and Avengers are going to get this team spawn on the P1. So these are the little differences, or these little things can create the difference of OpTiC being in control and creating a snowball for the opposing team, and the difference between that and Luminosity not being in that spawn trap and having more leeway and having more control on the map. So, in my opinion, a better thing for Frosty, instead of pushing Carvier to do their 1-3 push, I think the better play would have been to jump top mid and be this middleman in this area where he can help these two players' car, and he can still be a pair with that Camo player. Maybe even reveal this player, since Snakebite never checked inside a P to make sure everything is secured. Ideally, if OpTiC executed everything perfectly, they would clear out everybody in the blue basin and invert the spawn system to where Avengers are going to be spawning on the red side of the map. So they can have one person in blue base, one car, one top mid, and one P, which would be forming a T-shape kind of setup. And that would trap Avengers in the red base.
Hey guys, this is Callus. I'm going to be taking over the mic from Thurlian just for this last portion, mainly because I wanted to touch up on some parts and I didn't want to ask Thurlian to re-record this, and editing it would have been a crazy nightmare, so this is plan B. Okay, so we talked about OpTiC Gaming setting up the T setup, which is the base spawn trap, and collapsing on the back and forth, kind of like how a lot of teams do on Regret, you know, base spawn trap to base spawn trap. So this is the hypothetical of having a bubble spawn trap, which is much better, especially if you have camo, which OpTiC does. You can sustain a snowball in your favor. So as a rule of thumb, you don't need two guys on car for the U setup. You only need one, so one of these car players are expendable. So we're going to keep one car player here on the blue bubble, watching the blue door and blue base, and we're going to have Frosty stay red 2 and block red base. We're going to delete Sneaky Say in here with his no presence play and pretend he got taken out, so Paul or Snakebite will be camo player P2. So he's going to have help with the car side that we're going to pinch. So car player will watch that angle. P2 player can rotate with camo into P2 or into blue 2, and that secondary car guy is going to go top mid like we talked about. He's going to help clean those guys, and then it's very important he rotates into P2 after. So now we have the U setup, essentially. It's already done at that point. We have P2 being refilled after we bump P2 player into blue with camo, and then we already have Royal 2 staying on the blue bubble, unless he left it and collapsed. But let's say he's still there. We're set up. We have an extended U, but since we have camo, we want to rotate the camo player into blue bubble and flip-flop the blue bubble player into blue 2. So now we know the opposite team is only going to be able to spawn on the opposite bubble, pretty much. There are some split spawn opportunities in P1. We cover that in the other videos. But essentially, this is an extended U. So you can have a regular U by having both bases, and then a P2 player, and then having your fourth player maybe doubled up on a base, or maybe roaming bottom mid or top mid, and that means both bubbles are open. But having an extended U means you put a player in the car vicinity affecting those spawns. So having camo there on the bubble, he can flip-flop the spawns by going bubble to bubble, or he can hide car 1 or car 2 and open up both bubbles and then get behind them, and it's very annoying. Alright, so that concludes the video. Hopefully you guys liked it. Please like, please share, please subscribe if you did, and we'll catch you guys next week for the next video. Peace!